この一族の器の浅さを。
What's up everyone? In this video I'm going to cover what I personally use for my raids. I'm not claiming these are the best, but they are what has worked for me. For my team, Kain is the largest contributor of the damage output by far, so the additional damage he deals due to the help of a support character's buff usually outweighs the damage the support character themselves do. So the team attack buffs given from characters such as Dark Lord and Odin usually help Kain do more damage than they themselves can contribute, assuming they're not highly transcended. Therefore, in my case, I'm really only selecting supporting characters based on their passive skills and not really for their damage output. There will be some variation on the team composition depending on the day, but on average, my team composition consists of Yui, Lilith, Dark Lord, and Odin. Having Yui needs no explanation. She's the only 5-star healer in the game, and her skills greatly benefit Kain and herself. If you don't have her yet, you can save up rubies for her banner during the weekend and use someone like Rachel in the meantime. Second is Lilith. She's a great and dependable magical DPS that also debuffs the boss. When maxed, her passive skill reduces the monster's defense by 25%, though I don't believe the raid bosses have much defense to begin with, so she's mainly here to be a solid magical damage dealer. If you don't have her already, you can use this spot to put in a character that provides some sort of team utility. Someone like Rachel, Vivian, or Joanne can be put in this spot to help the team's survivability. Next is Dark Lord, who is essential in raids, and I would try to grab her if you don't already have her. The reason is because she has two important team buffing skills. One that provides the team additional attack, and the other providing everyone additional crit damage. This will not only strengthen your Kain, but also strengthen your healer's ability to heal, since healing scales with attack. If you're able to invest a lot of resources into Dark Lord, she'll also be able to deal a massive amount of damage on her own. Lastly is Odin. Similar to Dark Lord, Odin has a passive skill that strengthens the team's attack, resulting in a stronger Kain and stronger healer. If you don't have Odin, you could replace her with any character that has some kind of team utility. Personally, I would replace her with Rachel, Vivian, or Joanne, again simply because raid scores are essentially scoring your survivability, and these characters provide team defense and or health. Starting with the Fire Dragon raid, I like to use Yui, Lilith, Aina, and Dark Lord. I've already told you why I use Yui, Lilith, and Dark Lord. For this raid specifically, I chose to add in Aina because Aina has a passive skill that reduces the team's damage taken from fire type enemies such as this fire type raid boss. I took out Odin instead of Dark Lord because Dark Lord has two benefiting skills, whereas Odin only has one. It's also nice that Dark Lord is a dark type, which is strong against this fire type. Next is the water boss. If you have the luxury of using the fire Kain skin, I would use that because water is strong against light Kain. However, fire is only weak to dark in this game based on this elemental chart. I usually use my standard Yui, Lilith, Dark Lord, and Odin composition for this, but I've had the same results from using Yui, Rachel, Dark Lord, and the fourth character being Vivian or Odin. Rachel and Vivian combinations are useful here since they both grant team defense and or health. Vivian's passive also reduces the number of projectiles from the boss by 1, so that's useful in protecting your backline assuming your Vivian can stay alive. Try either the standard offensive composition or the defensive and sustainable composition with Rachel and Vivian and see what works for you. Against the Light Dragon, again, if you have Fire Kain, then use that since the boss has light immunity. Otherwise, this raid is probably one of your weaker raids. For my supporting characters, I like to use Yui, Lilith, Dark Lord, and Joanne, or you could switch out Lilith for Kana, since Kana is a strong fire DPS and can do a considerable amount of damage to the boss. Joanne is a key component here since her passive skill reduces the team's damage taken from the light type enemies. Before I had Joanne or Kana, I just used my standard Yui, Lilith, Dark Lord, and Odin build. Against Dark Lord, I prefer to use my standard build of involving Dark Lord and Odin to maximize Kain's damage and Yui's healing. However, you could replace Odin in this case with Rachel or Vivian to help your team sustain a little longer versus this difficult boss that dishes out crazy amounts of damage in her breath. To help yourself last even longer, you can utilize the invincibility frames of Kain's active skills to avoid some of her attacks. You can check out this video here to learn more about that strategy. For the Leaf Raid boss, I like to use Yui, Lilith, Dark Lord, and Kana. If you have the Fire King costume, definitely use that to your advantage here since the boss is weak to fire. That's also the reason why I switched out Odin for Kana here, so Kana can have the elemental advantage, though I found my score to be about the same if I were to leave Odin in instead of Kana. If you don't have Fire Kain, then I would definitely keep Kana in the lineup. Against Belphegor, I don't really have much strategy here, it's just a lengthy battle, so I chose to keep Dark Lord and Odin in to maximize Yui's heal and Kain's damage. I found my score to be roughly the same if I were to replace Dark Lord and Odin with Rachel and Vivian. Belphegor's damage will continue to rise over time, and based on how much damage you deal to her. After 6 bill, her crit rate will also increase, to which I suggest having over 50% crit resist for that. And lastly, against the boss Asmodeus, I like to use Yui, Lilith, Aina, and Dark Lord. If you look closely, you'll recognize that the boss is fire type, therefore it is a good idea to have Aina on your team to reduce the damage taken from this boss. Without her, this boss hits really hard and fast, so it's a very difficult boss. If I didn't have Aina, I would replace her with Odin for additional damage, or for Rachel or Vivian to help with survivability. And those are the teams I use for my raids. I know that some of you are gonna ask what weapons and gear I'm putting on for each character too, so I'll just summarize that. I use Ascalon and Witch set on Kain, Excalibur and a 3 slasher 2 demon set on Yui, a light armor set and Dragon Blade on my Lilith, the Sword of Caliburn and 2 demon 3 dragon on my Dark Lord, and a complete Temple Knight set on my Odin. For her, I just throw on my 5th strongest weapon. I don't have Guardian or White Dragon set that are transcended, so that's why none of them are listed. One last tip I can give you is to purchase and redeem your daily buffs if you want to maximize your raid score. This includes purchasing the guild buff, redeeming the slasher buff, and redeeming the guild ranking and or raid ranking buff before you attempt to break your raid score record. If you guys have any further questions, feel free to ask me in the comments below and I'll answer them to the best of my ability. If you have other tips and compositions you'd like to share, you can share those as well. I'm very interested in hearing what you found successful. If you liked the video and have stayed until the very end, then I think that deserves a like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. I do enjoy making these videos if it provides value for you guys, and I definitely want to try uploading content other than Swordmaster Story in the future, and I hope you'll stay along for the ride. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.